With the advancement of technology, more and more Ponzi schemes are being promoted online. And so on this presentation, I thought I'd show you why you should never get involved in a Ponzi scheme, give you some tips on how to spot a Ponzi scheme, and some advice if you're a victim or being pestered by promoters of Ponzi schemes. So let's jump in. Firstly, what is a Ponzi scheme? Well, the dictionary definition is a form of fraud in which belief in the success of a non-existent enterprise is fostered by the payment of quick returns to the first investors from money invested by later investors. So let's break this down and look at it piece by piece. Firstly, it's a form of fraud. It's a way of obtaining money by lies and deception. That's what fraud is. It's immoral, but more than that, it's illegal. So by being involved in a Ponzi scheme, even if you're not promoting it, you are helping promote an illegal activity. Looking further at the definition, we have a belief in the success of a non-existent enterprise. So Ponzi schemes can be dressed up to look like real businesses. In fact, they need to be to lure you in with your investment. But if there's no proof a business is actually making money through any legitimate means, other than from other investors putting in money, then it's almost certainly a Ponzi scam. Quick returns to the first investors. Any business that offers daily, weekly or monthly returns is almost certainly a Ponzi scheme. Scammers often try to conceal the truth by using technical jargon. For example, many scams might be labelled as a high yield investment program, HYIP. It's worth pointing out all HYIPs are scams. But be wary of any business that says you can get rich quick, because that's a big red warning sign. Another part of the definition of a Ponzi scheme is from money invested by later investors. So that's how they make their money. Any legitimate business can prove how they make money, and that it's not purely recycled funds from other investors in their project or their platform. And these very often words that are used for Ponzi schemes, they use the word project or platform. And so, yeah, be very careful on that. Note, the burden of proof is from the company or the promoters making the claims. You do not need to prove a scam is a scam. So if in doubt, ask for proof of where the money comes from, and if none is given, that also gives you another indication it's almost certainly a Ponzi scheme that you're being pitched. So let's also look at why Ponzi schemes are so damaging to individuals and society. Firstly, they are illegal. It's worldwide, doesn't matter where you are, a Ponzi scheme is illegal. By participating, even if you don't promote it yourself, you're still assisting fraudsters, and technically you could go to prison by just investing in a Ponzi scheme, even if you don't even promote it. Now, most Ponzi schemes encourage you to recruit friends and family, and mathematically all Ponzi schemes will collapse. That's guaranteed, and most people will therefore lose money. This can be a real strain on personal relationships, and lots of people do indeed lose friends and family members when they get involved with Ponzi schemes. Now, most Ponzi schemes operate anonymously, but not always. For example, Bernie Madoff was a very public figure running his Ponzi scheme for decades. However, some early investors can genuinely be net winners. But remember, this is stolen money. It doesn't prove legitimacy. It's still a Ponzi scheme, even though some people early on can become big net winners. You've got to be aware as well, this stolen money can be funding all sorts of unknown criminal activity. For example, mass killing. There was a story in 2019 of a gunman who killed 49 people, and that was funded by a Ponzi scheme called BitConnect. And here's the article. New Zealand mosque shooter was a BitConnect Ponzi scheme investor. The gunman who killed 49 people made money investing in a Bitcoin related Ponzi scheme, according to a manifesto he published online. So yes, by investing in a Ponzi scheme, you can be helping fund really bad criminal activity, including the mass killing of people. There's also plenty of stories of people committing suicide, having lost money in Ponzi schemes. For example, again, Bernie Madoff left a trail of financial ruin and a series of suicides, including his own family members. There are plenty of other examples of lives ruined with Ponzi schemes. Ponzi schemes also promote the idea that you can get rich without any real effort, which is damaging to society because people need to work hard for their earnings. Most Ponzi schemes develop a cultish-like following where you're not allowed to ask any legitimate probing questions. You will likely be gaslighted, told to keep the faith, or get kicked out of the community. For example, on social media, you can be blocked, and that's a very common occurrence for people who raise genuine concerns at a Ponzi scheme they may have become involved with. So let's look to see how you can spot a Ponzi scheme. What are the usual red flags and warning signs? Firstly, you've probably been pitched this by a friend, family member, or an associate close to you. Secondly, you're being offered the chance to get rich quick with little or no effort. If that's happened to you, chances are you're looking at a Ponzi scheme. You will need to invest to be able to see gains. So they're looking for you to put money into the scheme because that's helping fund the scheme, pay out the earlier investors. There'll be a lack of proof of how the enterprise, quote unquote, actually makes money other than the recruitment from new investors. So if you're asking people to give proof, you'll find that will be lacking. It will very often use an MLM compensation model. That stands for a multi-level marketing compensation model, which means members get paid to recruit other members into the scheme. So if you can see that with the investment you're being offered, an MLM compensation plan, then that's another warning sign for a Ponzi scheme. Your sponsor is rewarded in proportion to how much you invest. This is actually a legal activity in the real world of investing. You cannot be rewarded based on the size of investment someone makes in the legitimate investment world. So if your sponsor is getting rewarded in proportion to how much you invest, again, that's a warning of a Ponzi scheme. Lots of technical jargon can be used in the presentation. This is used to bamboozle you and prevent you from asking good questions for the fear of looking stupid. Technical jargon is often used to hide the simple fact that money is made by attracting more investors and not through legitimate, genuine business activities. They avoid using the word investment, even though it's obvious that they are asking you to make an investment. The word investment implies what's technically called a securities offering, and that in turn allows financial regulators to get involved, and hence they use, or rather avoid using the word investment. It's worth noting here that securities fraud also applies to anyone offering potential gains via cryptocurrency or any other form of currency, not just what we would class as real money. They will often use cryptocurrency as a payment method. This makes it harder for the authorities to track and trace the money, plus it helps the scammers because people don't feel they're losing real money when they use cryptocurrency. So be very wary of anyone offering an investment opportunity where you are required to pay using cryptocurrency. They may say this is not a security, but in reality they are offering an investment for financial gain. It is indeed a form of security. Just because you call a duck a horse doesn't change the facts. And so just by the fact that a promoter or a Ponzi scheme may say this is not a security doesn't mean it is not a security. Now let's look at some tactics used by Ponzi promoters, and we've got to watch out for psychological tricks here, or gaslighting, words that they use to try and fool you into thinking that it's legitimate. Firstly, they might use the phrase, only invest what you can afford to lose. This is a trick used to imply legitimacy, as this is indeed a phrase that is also used by genuine investment opportunities. However, used with a Ponzi scheme, this is a distraction technique. Another phrase a promoter might use is they might say, get your seed money out as soon as you can and play with the profits. This is a tempting idea in principle, but this method of investment relates to betting and gambling, not legitimate medium to long-term investing. So what's actually happening here? By promoting this concept, the recruiter is implying you can make money risk-free, which seems a very attractive idea and reduces your risk, if the scam lasts long enough, that is. So that's what they're trying to do here by saying you can get your seed money out as soon as possible and play with profits. They're trying to make it sound like it's a risk-free opportunity, but in reality you are putting money into a scam. So you're already at massive risk and also aiding criminal activity by investing in a fraudulent scheme. And the reality is you never know when a Ponzi scheme will collapse, and it will collapse at some point. That's a mathematical certainty. Every single Ponzi scheme does. So it could even be tomorrow. So no one knows except those running the illegal schemes. So this whole idea of get your seed money out as soon as possible and play with the profits, it's a false premise. There's every possibility you won't ever get a chance to get your initial investment, as they would like you to think it is, out of that Ponzi scheme. Now, they may also say, don't just take my word for it, do your own due diligence. This again is a tactic used to convey legitimacy. This also puts the onus back on you, even though they are the ones promoting it to you, and they should have full confidence. So the very fact they're saying that, is taking your guard down. Very often this is a tactic used to help drop your guard by making it sound legitimate, and actually by implying that is going to stop you doing any real due diligence. In other words, do your research and find out if this is legitimate. A little side note here is you might want to go and do a YouTube search for the name of the business they're promoting plus the word scam, and find out from other people who don't have a vested interest in getting you involved, but also still be very aware that many of the promoters are fully aware that you may do that, and they will do YouTube videos which will have their name and the word scam, but they will still turn it and say this clearly isn't a scam, but they're just trying to do the keyword association to try and stop you finding legitimate sources of reviews. And also this does help cover the promoters back, so they have less of a sense of responsibility towards you by saying, don't just take my word for it, do your own due diligence, do your own research. And again, that you can see there why they use this tactic. Another note here, it's worth being aware that most Ponzi scheme promoters have promoted multiple scams in the past and are well aware of how to use these sales tactics and these psychological tricks to their advantage. Remember, they are getting paid to recruit you to join, and probably the more you pay, the more they earn. So be aware what their promotional reasons are for doing this, and the reasons they are using these phrases such as don't just take my word for it, do your own due diligence. They may also say don't risk money you can't afford to lose. Once again, this is another distraction technique. Genuine legitimate investments will always come with this warning. However, just because a scam comes with this warning doesn't mean it's therefore legitimate. Let me give you an example of what this logical fallacy is. All dogs have 4 legs. A dog is an animal. That doesn't therefore mean that all animals have 4 legs, if you see how the logic works there. So this phrase also helps the promoter relinquish their responsibility to their victim, because when the scheme inevitably collapses, the promoter won't lose sleep because, hey, it was your fault you put money into the scheme that turned out to be a scam, not mine, because they said don't risk money you can't afford to lose. What a perfect alibi that gives them. Another thing the promoter may say is you don't have to promote this to be able to make money. Doesn't mean it's legitimate. That may well be the case, but it doesn't mean this isn't a Ponzi scheme. If the business is generating funds from other investors, whether you recruit them or not personally, then that means it could still be a Ponzi scheme. It does nothing to prove whether this is a Ponzi scheme or not. So the phrase itself is completely meaningless when the promoter says you don't have to promote this to be able to make money. Doesn't mean it's not a Ponzi scheme. They may say this can't be a scam, it's endorsed by a celebrity name or a famous person, Mr. or Mrs. X. This is called the appeal to authority fallacy. This fallacy occurs when someone argues that a claim must be true simply because an expert or authority figure endorses it without presenting substantial evidence or reasoning to support the claim itself. They may also say it can't be a scam, we know who is running it. May not be a big name, but we've got the identity. By stating something cannot be a scam simply because the person involved is known, this is creating what is called a false dilemma that overlooks the nuanced reality that individuals known to us can still engage in untrustworthy or fraudulent activities. It inaccurately suggests there are only 2 possibilities. Either someone is unknown and capable of a scam, or they're known and incapable of deceit, ignoring all other possibilities and nuances. In reality, the credibility of an investment or scheme should be evaluated based on tangible evidence, due diligence and factual information, not merely on the reputation or perceived trustworthiness of the individuals promoting it. They may also use this phrase, it can't be a scam, I'm making money. In most Ponzi schemes, early investors can indeed make money or see numbers on the screen that imply they're making money. However, this is an essential element of a good Ponzi scheme, if there is such a thing, and certainly doesn't imply that it's not a Ponzi scheme just because someone is making or think they're making money. In fact, giving early investors some profits will help encourage them to recruit new investors, which is essential for making a Ponzi scheme work. So lots of people in Bernie Madoff's Ponzi scheme made money in the early stages, but that didn't mean it was legitimate. So I'm making money proves actually nothing. As soon as recruitment slows down or the creators of the Ponzi scheme decide they've made enough money, a Ponzi scheme will collapse or get closed down. It's a mathematical fact. So whether someone is making money or not is totally irrelevant. Now they may say to you, well, prove to me it's a scam. If you say to them, I think this might be a scam, they say, well, prove it's a scam. A Ponzi promoter will often challenge you to provide proof that they are promoting a scam, with the idea that if you can't prove it's a scam, it must therefore be legitimate. This is called a burden of proof fallacy. It is of course impossible to prove a scam unless you work on the inside and can see where the money is flowing, where it's coming from and where it's going to. The burden of proof only makes sense if they, the promoter, prove that it is not a scam. Let me give you a quick example here. I could say I've planted a pink banana tree on a planet on the edge of our solar system. And of course you couldn't disprove my statement, but that doesn't therefore mean it's true. So the burden of proof lies with the person who makes the original claim. In other words, the promoter who is saying this is a good opportunity. If someone claims this business is legitimate, they need to prove it, not yet the other way around, that you need to disprove it. So what should you do if you are pitched a Ponzi scheme? Well, if you find yourself in a situation where someone is pitching you what you believe to be an illegal investment, such as a Ponzi scheme, it's crucial to proceed with caution and take responsible actions to protect yourself and potentially others. So here are some steps that you should consider. Firstly, do not invest. First and foremost, do not provide any information, any money or personal information. Illegal schemes often rely on quick decisions. Take your time to think and research. So that brings us on to the research and verify. Conduct thorough research on the investment offer. Look for red flags. We've gone through several of them here, of common investment scams such as guaranteed high returns with no risk, pressure to invest quickly, or complex strategies that are difficult to understand. Seek professional advice. If you're uncertain about the legality or legitimacy of an investment, consult with a financial advisor, maybe a lawyer or someone you trust who has financial expertise. They can provide a second opinion and help you verify the legitimacy of the investment. Now, most of the Ponzi schemes generally involve small amounts of money to lure you in first of all. Then they encourage you to reinvest, go all in, really compound that money up. And some Ponzi schemes do indeed have very high entry levels, so be very, very careful relative to your own personal investment levels. And again, I hate using the word investment because a Ponzi scheme is not an investment, it's an illegal scam. Report to the authorities. If you believe the investment is indeed illegal or a scam, report it to the appropriate authorities. This could include financial regulatory bodies such as the Securities and Exchange Commission in America, or the Financial Conduct Authority in the United Kingdom, or other relevant financial regulatory authorities in your country. Consumer protection agencies such as the Federal Trade Commission in the US or similar consumer protection agencies in your country, or law enforcement. If the scheme seems to be part of a larger criminal activity, then do let the law enforcement agencies know. Educate others. Consider informing and educating your friends, family and community about the potential scam, especially if the person promoting the scheme is within your social circle. Awareness can prevent others from falling victim to similar scams, and that indeed is why I put together these videos to warn people, because we need to educate. That's the best form of protection against a Ponzi scheme. Also document everything. Every contact you have with someone, keep a record of all the communications, promotional materials, other relevant information related to the scheme. This documentation can be invaluable for investigations and legal proceedings. Stay informed. Stay informed about common types of investment scams, the latest trends in fraudulent schemes. Subscribe to my channel because I often reveal and expose investment schemes and scams as well. Knowledge is one of the best defenses against becoming a victim of financial fraud. Protect your information. If you've already shared personal information before realizing it's a scam, monitor your financial accounts closely for unusual activity and consider measures to protect your identity. Remember, it's important to act responsibly and not to confront the individual aggressively or put yourself in a potentially dangerous situation. reporting to the appropriate authorities and seeking professional advice are the safest and most effective ways to handle the situation. And with that, I'm going to thank you for watching. I hope this has helped provide you with some good solid information to help you protect yourself from scams and scammers. And do feel free to share this with other people as well. Give me a thumbs up, like and subscribe to my channel if you want to receive further protection against being involved with scams, but also if you're interested in legitimate sources, places that you can put your money to work. So again, thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you on the next one soon.